Good morning. I'm Christine Gibbs from A Step Ahead Physiotherapy in Governor Square. Thank you for joining me for another segment of Staying a Step Ahead. Medial tibial stress syndrome, or more commonly called shin splints, are a major complaint with runners. They also affect dancers and athletes whose sports involve a lot of stopping and starting. My dear brother out in California is struggling with shin splints right now, so this segment is dedicated to him. I hope he takes some advice from his little sister. The pain with shin splints is usually located along the lower front half of your tibia bone. It can get better with activity, but typically gets worse afterwards. Full recovery can take 6 months or more if you don't modify your activity and take steps to treat it. Recurrence is high, so be sure you have fully rehabilitated not only your symptoms, but also the cause of your shin splints prior to returning to your sport. So, here are my top 10 tips on treating and preventing shin splints. Number 1, running surface. Running on hard surfaces, hills, or a cambered road may lead to shin splints. Number 2, feet. There are 2 main foot dysfunctions which can cause shin splints. High arches which collapse during weight bearing, and overpronation where your foot rolls inwards too much. So if you're overpronating, when you land and your foot rolls in too much, this causes a lot of stress on your inner shin. Or if you have high arches, every time you land, your foot collapses. I highly recommend a custom foot orthotic. It is just what you need to support every structure in your foot to prevent that inner collapse or the collapsing down of your arch when you land. Number 3, shoes. You need to get the correct shoe for your foot type, neutral, motion control, or stability. Make sure you have someone trained in foot biomechanics to determine this for you. As I just mentioned, overpronation is a major cause of shin splints, but that does not mean you should run out and get a pair of shoes with motion control. If you do not overpronate, this type of shoe could cause more harm than good. Worn out shoes are also a cause of shin splints. Be sure to replace them every 250 to 500 miles, depending on your weight and how aggressive your training is. Number 4, too much too soon. Ramping up your training before you're ready is a quick way to get shin splints. You should not increase your mileage, frequency, intensity, or duration by more than 10% per week. Number 5, tight calves. I like to stretch your calf off of a stair, but if you don't have a stair, you can simply do it by getting down on your hands and feet and just dropping your heel towards the ground, getting a good stretch through the back of your calf. Hold it for 30 seconds and switch sides. To get the front of your shins, get down on your knees and just lean backwards. You should feel a stretch through the entire front of your shin bone. And again, hold for 30 seconds. Number 6, strengthen your lower leg muscles. A very simple way to do this is just walking on your heels, lifting your toes up and walking. You can walk forwards and also walking backwards. Then do calf raises. Do them with your toes pointed outwards and with your toes pointed in. And then do one-legged with the toes forward. I would start with about 25 of each, but make sure that you feel that your leg muscles working. Number 7, rest and/or cross-train. Do not train through the pain. It will only make it worse. At the very least, reduce distance, intensity, duration, and frequency of your training. It is much better to take a few days off when your symptoms first start than to push through and be forced to take 6 weeks or more off later. You cannot underestimate the value of rest. When you're ready, return to training gradually. And number 8, compression sleeves. These can either be just a sleeve or a sock, but they help support the involved structures in shin splints. You can wear them as a treatment, but also as a preventative measure. I wear them during my long runs, and I sure can feel a difference when I'm running. Number 9, hip and/or core weakness. If your hips or core are weak, your leg will collapse inwards, which will stress the lower leg musculature and may lead to shin splints. So if this up here is weak, every time you're landing, you collapse in. Same thing that happens when you overpronate. Everything rolls inwards and really stresses that inner shin. So, to strengthen this, get down on the floor and do a single leg bridge. Bend both knees up, raise up one, and lift up and down. Make sure that your pelvis doesn't drop. Really reaching up and squeezing. The other exercise I like are called donkey whips. Get over on your hands and knees and just bring one leg out and around. Really working this outer hip and trunk. Number 10, running cadence. You should take 180 steps per minute to avoid injury. Count the number of steps taken on one leg for 1 minute. This should be 90 or more. I hope these top 10 tips have enlightened you on shin splints. Please seek medical advice if your pain persists or worsens. Thanks for tuning in. Join me next month for another installment of Christine's Top 10 to continue staying a step ahead.
All right, well, if you'd like to get in contact with Christine or the team at A Step Ahead Physiotherapy, you can give them a call. That's 745-ASAP. That's 745-2727. You can send them an email as well, info@astepaheadphysio.com. You can visit their website, and their website is www.astepaheadphysio.com. And their offices are in Governor Square. You can stop by there as well.